Next on Currents News, a big day in the Brooklyn Diocese. Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio installing a new pastor in Park Slope, and he's a bishop too. A laywoman is taking over as leader of a parish in Connecticut. Brooklyn-born Bishop Frank Caggiano selecting Dr. Eleanor Sowers to supervise priests and manage parish life. Authorities are investigating after a 17-year-old made claim she was sexually assaulted by a layperson at a Brooklyn church. Plus, record-breaking winter weather in the southeast. The snow is piling up. The news starts right now. Good evening, everyone. I'm Liz Faublas. A very special moment for a Park Slope church. The installation on Sunday of a new pastor by Brooklyn's Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio. The shepherd is well experienced in serving the people of God. He is a bishop. Currents News' Katie Engesser has the story.
With thunderous applause, Auxiliary Bishop of Brooklyn James Massa is appointed as pastor to Holy Family St. Thomas Aquinas Parish in Park Slope.
This is a day of great joy and fulfillment for me.
That's because this assignment has special meaning to him. Since his priestly ordination over 30 years ago, he has served as professor and chaplain at many Catholic universities and seminaries in New York and Boston. But there is one ministry Bishop Massa had not undertaken.
He never was actually a pastor in his whole priesthood. Was always teaching and doing administrative work, so he wanted this opportunity to be a pastor.
That's the reason why we're ordained, is really to serve the people of God as a shepherd.
As part of his work as an auxiliary bishop, he often represents Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio at parish events and functions, experience he hopes to use in his new parish.
I learn a lot from visiting the very varied parishes we have in the Diocese of Brooklyn.
Here at Holy Family St. Thomas Aquinas, Bishop Massa's biggest hope is to unite the parish's two main groups, English and Spanish speakers. Bishop DiMarzio, celebrating the bilingual installation Mass, offered his brother bishops some pastorly advice.
Taking things slow, they get adjusted to understand the people, understand the needs, so that he can find the right solution to the problems that face this parish here.
Many parishioners are excited about their new pastor.
Bishop Massa is a very wonderful person.
He seems to be such a humble man, very nice, and he always goes out of his way to say hello and call you by your name.
I think he's a very loving person. Everything that comes through him comes from his heart. As
Mass ends, Bishop Massa already begins caring for his flock, saying a quick prayer for an altar server who got sick during the Mass.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee.
The youngster apparently had an allergic reaction to the many roses in the church. At last word, she was okay. In Park Slope, Katie Engesser, Currents News.
Bridgeport Bishop Frank Caggiano is appointing a laywoman to lead a Connecticut parish. The Brooklyn-born prelate is making the move less than 2 months after a Vatican synod that called women's leadership within the church a duty of justice. Dr. Eleanor Sowers is being selected for St. Anthony of Padua Parish in Fairfield. She will have decision-making authority over a team of priests. Now, the choice of a layperson to coordinate parish life is the first of its kind in the Bridgeport Diocese. The national correspondent of the Tablet and Crux, Christopher White, joins us now with more on this story. Christopher, thank you so much for being with us. What kind of precedent does this set by Bishop Caggiano?
Well, as you know, some eyebrows were raised this morning when the announcement came out, or yesterday rather. But I think there is precedent for this in dioceses across the country. This sort of model is in place, and it's also backed up by canon law. And in a letter that the bishop sent to his parishioners yesterday, he specifically cited canon law, saying there is precedent for what he's doing, and so all clear.
So how will this look like in practice? How will Dr. Sowers handle her new role on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I imagine a lot's going to have to be worked out come January 1st when she takes sort of full effect here. But the bishop was quite clear. The sacramental responsibilities of, hearing confessions, consecrating the Eucharist, all the things that we think of that priests do will remain the same. But as sort of pastoral director, she will be in charge of sort of setting the agenda for the parish, in charge of administration, the real sort of teeth and control of sort of the direction in which the parish is going is up to Dr. Sowers, and so she's been vested with a lot of authority here.
Now, of course, this has been talked about at great length, especially back in October during the Worldwide Synod of Bishops, where it was discussed that there should be concrete action, right, for women's leadership in the church. So is this perhaps what the Synod of Delegates was talking about? Are we starting to see these ideas come to fruition?
I think that's certainly one sign of sort of the fruits of the Synod, perhaps. Last month, I moderated a panel with Bishop Caggiano reflecting on the Synod, and I said, how do you hope to sort of give sort of real concrete deliverables to this promise to sort of show women's leadership in action? And he said, in a few weeks, I hope to make this announcement. So here we're seeing it come to action. So I think he certainly is relating it back to the Synod. And I think for those that were there in Rome during the Synod calling for greater participation of women in the church, I think they'll see this as a welcome sign of this, but hopefully a sign of things further to come.
And could these appointments happen elsewhere?
I think so. I mean, it's perhaps by this visible profile that Bishop Caggiano is giving to this appointment today, we may see more a trend.
A trend indeed. Thank you so much, Christopher, for all that important insight. Authorities are investigating after a 17-year-old made claims that she was sexually assaulted by a layperson at a Brooklyn church. Currents News' Tim Harfman has the latest from outside Holy Innocents in Flatbush.
Liz, this investigation is very much the beginning stages right now. What we do know is that an allegation was made that a teenage girl was abused by a layperson here in Flatbush. Right now, we do not know who that person is. A 17-year-old girl is accusing a layperson at this church in Flatbush of sexually abusing her between 2013 and 2015. The victim reportedly was between the ages of 12 and 15 when the alleged abuse took place. Officials from the Brooklyn Diocese have released the following statement. We take every allegation of this nature seriously. We were informed of the accusation late Friday afternoon. The case is now in the hands of the authorities. We await the conclusion of their investigation. Again, the suspect has not been identified. The police investigation is ongoing and authorities have not responded to a request for comment. In Flatbush, Brooklyn, Tim Harfman, Currents News.
The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops established what is known as the Dallas Charter in 2002 to combat and prevent sexual abuse. Some of the measures there include creating the Office of Victim Assistance to help individuals who come forward with allegations of abuse. The office provides counseling, referrals for therapy, other important resources. Every employee of the Brooklyn Diocese, including students, undergoes mandatory training designed to spot the signs of abuse and how to stop it. Bishop DiMarzio meets with survivors. He listens to them carefully. One result of those talks is the annual Mass of Hope and Healing in the diocese. The diocese also has a toll-free and confidential sexual abuse reporting line, and that number is 888-634-4499. For more information, go to the Diocese of Brooklyn's website, dioceseofbrooklyn.org, and click on Protecting Our Children. President Trump is interviewing people who he calls really great to take over as White House Chief of Staff. The widely touted frontrunner for the job, Nick Ayers, won't be appointed. He's currently Vice President Pence's Chief of Staff, but wants to move back to his home state of Georgia soon. Trump announced Saturday that John Kelly will be leaving the chief's post at the end of the year. Tear gas choking the streets of Paris as French bishops call for calm. New scenes of unrest and chaos Saturday. Police used tear gas, water cannon, and rubber bullets on yellow vest protesters. Nearly 500 people in Paris have been arrested. The protesters are against the economic policies of President Emmanuel Macron. The bishops of France are calling for the government and the protesters to meet with each other and become people of dialogue and peace. The U.S. government joined forces with Russia to take on the Paris Climate Accord. The two delegations, along with Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, voted against language in a new report that supports the Paris Agreement on limiting global warming. The State Department said the U.S. has not endorsed the findings of the report. Nations are in Poland for 2 weeks for the COP24 to create a rule book for the 2015 Paris Pact. New information is being released regarding the murder of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi, and there are more details about the communication between Saudi Arabia and the White House. John Lawrence has more on that.
Moments after Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi entered the consulate of Saudi Arabia in Istanbul, he was surrounded by his executioners.
This was a premeditated act of willful murder, was not a rendition.
A source briefed on the investigation into Khashoggi's murder says that after a struggle, Khashoggi repeated the phrase, "I can't breathe." A transcript of the incident notes screams and gasping, and then the sound of Khashoggi's body being dismembered with a saw. Many in Washington, D.C., including reportedly the CIA, believe Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman ordered the kill.
There is no way that 17 people close to him got on a charter plane, flew to a third country, went into a consulate, killed and chopped up a man, and flew back, and he didn't know about it, much less order it.
The Trump administration says there's no smoking gun that links the Crown Prince to the killing. And the New York Times reports Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law and senior advisor, maintained regular talks with the prince after the murder, including advice on how to get past the fallout.
No one is saying that he's condoning the killing, certainly, but that he's saying that you've got to look at the long term, and also that this young crown prince is the long-term future of Saudi Arabia.
John Lawrence, Currents News.
A record-breaking snowstorm has slammed into the southeast of the United States. 2 people are thought to have died so far. The wicked weather is hitting a region of the country not used to snow. Omar Jimenez has more from Charlotte, North Carolina.
The southeast pounded by winter weather.
It's deep. It's about a foot. I'm doing parking lots right now, and the tractor won't even push it. It's not strong enough.
A massive moisture-heavy storm mixed with cold air, pushing snow and ice into the Carolinas.
North Carolina is in the cold, icy grip of a mammoth winter storm.
The storm downed trees and power lines, leaving more than 500,000 people without power in the southeast. Authorities warned of dangerous road conditions and urged residents to stay home.
Snow and ice can make the scene outside your window look like a holiday card. But don't be fooled. This storm is treacherous, especially if you try to drive in it.
Still, hundreds of drivers tried their luck in the wintry mix. North Carolina's State Highway Patrol responded to more than 500 crashes on Sunday alone. Residents of Durham County, North Carolina, woke up Sunday morning after 6 inches of snow fell overnight. The area sees an average of 6 inches of snow per year. Higher elevations in the Appalachians and Carolinas saw double-digit snowfall over the weekend. Thousands of flights in and out of North Carolina airports have been grounded due to the treacherous conditions, and forecasters expect the storm to move off the coast Monday, but authorities say its impact will be felt for days to come. And in Raleigh, North Carolina, this is some of what crews had to deal with this morning. That water main breaking and spewing water into the air onto some of those homes nearby as well. And it highlights some of the challenges we're going to see play out over the course of this recovery. These temperatures hovering right around freezing, and we've seen precipitation come in many forms, which means freezing conditions on some of these roads. And here in Charlotte, in regards to the airport, we saw cancellations topping 1,000 for flights coming in and out of this region yesterday. Today, the airport says expect more cancellations, especially until this winter storm warning ends early this afternoon. Reporting from Charlotte, North Carolina, I'm Omar Jimenez.
The U.S. Supreme Court is siding with Planned Parenthood in a funding fight. The justices decided today not to hear appeals from states that want to block Medicaid money going to the abortion group. 2 lower courts said that states violate federal law when they cut off Medicaid contracts with Planned Parenthood affiliates who also offer preventative care for low-income women. Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Brett Kavanaugh were among those deciding not to take up the case. There's a lot more news headed your way. Christmas is coming to Brooklyn. The scene of Christ's birth has arrived at Grand Army Plaza just before the tree lighting. And a look back at the contentious story of a school principal who turned into a Grinch and why she wants to ban Christmas. Plus the story of a Muslim baby girl that was left at a Catholic church in Brooklyn. And do you have a story idea, something happening in your parish we should know about? We want to hear from you. Keep this email handy, newstips@thesalesmedia.org. We'll be right back. Christmas is taking over Brooklyn's Grand Army Plaza. Preparations were underway this morning for Tuesday's Christmas tree lighting at the historic location as the nativity scene arrived ready to be displayed.
I think what it means is that you can still put Christ in Christmas, that there's still
hope that is Jesus, and that we still have this freedom in the United States of America no matter what's going on politically.
8 pieces weighing between 80 and 100 pounds each were unloaded and arranged just under the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Arch. The tree and nativity display will remain in place through the Christmas season. And don't forget, Brooklyn Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio will be lighting the Grand Army Plaza Christmas tree tomorrow at 5 p.m. He will also be blessing the nativity scene. Also tonight, an elementary school principal's anti-Christmas sentiment is sparking outrage and concern in Nebraska and gaining national attention. The principal sent a blunt memo to teachers, essentially banning anything related to the religious holiday.
Frankly, it was the most outrageous memo we've ever seen on Christmas.
A 2-page memo sent to teachers and staff at Manchester Elementary. Principal Jennifer Sinclair lays out her list, highlighting, quote, not acceptable practices during the holiday season. It's all about banning Christmas in the classroom, including candy canes because they symbolize a J for Jesus. No Santas or Christmas trees allowed either. On the acceptable items list, snowmen, penguins, and holidays around the world. In her memo, Sinclair calls the list inclusive and culturally sensitive to all students. She signs it, quote, the unintentional Grinch who stole Christmas from Manchester. Matt Staver is the founder of Liberty Council, an organization dedicated to advancing religious freedom.
But for the fact that some school staff got us involved, she would have been the Grinch in Manchester and would have sent a very terrible message to the school district.
Staver says the list violates the school district's policy and First Amendment laws. The council sent a letter to administrators last Friday.
We were prepared, had the school not responded appropriately, to file suit this week.
The Elkhorn School District released a statement saying administration promptly addressed the issue and the memo does not reflect the policy of Elkhorn Public Schools. A district spokesperson says the school is receiving a high volume of phone calls from concerned parents and an officer will be present at school in the coming days. The district has placed Sinclair on leave and the investigation into the case is continuing. Good news tonight about a Muslim baby left at a Brooklyn Catholic church. A church staff member wants to adopt the newborn girl. Currents News' Tim Harfman reports on how the church's pastor learned something unusual was happening.
We've done what we're supposed to do.
Father Charles Borno was holding a staff meeting at Our Lady of Refuge Church in Midwood when suddenly
I ran back to the meeting and said, we have an urgent situation here.
A 2-week-old baby girl wrapped in a pink blanket, seen here in the arms of the Brooklyn priest.
They called me father. That day, I became a father.
It was the day before Thanksgiving when surveillance video captures the moment a Muslim family arrived at the Catholic church. In desperation, the mother and 3 relatives claimed they couldn't care for the baby. Hearing the news, parish staffers were emotional.
Just to hear that, they want to give up a baby. It was just very, very sad to see.
But the Muslim mother won't face charges for leaving the infant. Under New York State's Abandoned Infant Protection Act, a parent is allowed to give up a child up to 30 days, as long as the child is left in a safe manner. Churches are considered safe havens, along with places like hospitals and firehouses. The newborn was evaluated at a Brooklyn hospital, then placed with Administration Children's Services. And although the family showed up to the rectory unannounced and the mother said she can't care for the child, one person connected to the parish is willing to adopt.
One of the cops from the precinct called me and asked if anyone wanted to adopt the baby. So I told her, hold on, I'll call you right back. And then I called my cousin.
Franz LaFortune says the child is currently with his cousin. On December 26th, she hopes to finalize the adoption.
The mother, of the infant was saying, that she's in good hands.
Sister Celia Deutsch coordinates interfaith gatherings for Our Lady of Refuge. She's not surprised the Muslim family turned to the Catholic Church.
The dialogue of life, which is basically people living together side by side and meeting one another in respect. And there's a lot of that in this neighborhood.
The name of the church is Our Lady of Refuge. This has become a refuge.
In Midwood, Brooklyn, Tim Harfman, Currents News.
Time has released its list of finalists for its 2018 Person of the Year. Since 1927, Time has identified a person or group of people who most influence the news and the world. The shortlist announced today includes more than 2,000 families separated at the U.S.-Mexico border under administration policy aimed at preventing illegal immigration. Special counsel Robert Mueller, who has investigated Russian meddling in the 2016 presidential election, and Christine Blasey Ford, who testified in front of senators in September against then Supreme Court nominee and now Judge Brett Kavanaugh, accusing him of sexual assault when they were in college. Still to come on Currents News, bright lights and the big battle that's brewing, what a New Jersey family is saying their township wants them to do in order to keep their light display. And Fearless Girl is back, but at a new location. We'll be right back. A Catholic family's over-the-top Christmas display is bringing them joy and stress this year. The decorations attract thousands of spectators to their New Jersey community, but the family says the township is acting like Scrooge. Currents News' Emily Drewby has the story from Old Bridge, New Jersey.
It's one of the most revered Christmas light shows in the Northeast.
Watching it live is it's unreal.
This extravagant display featuring 70,000 synchronized lights almost went dark this year after the Old Bridge, New Jersey homeowners say the township told them they would have to pay $2,600 a night for police and bus shuttle service. But homeowner Tom Apruzzi, a devout Catholic, says the show must go on.
I'm not shutting down for nobody. You know, you're always going to have that couple of people that don't agree with it. But you know what? It's about the happiness and the smiles on people's faces. And if you look at all these people, there's smiles everywhere.
Even with the looming threat of thousands of dollars in fees, Apruzzi and his wife Chris decided to debut their family's 2018 Christmas light show this season, much to the happiness of spectators.
I think it's absolutely crazy. He's giving back to the neighborhood. He's not doing this for himself.
Police are still on hand to help with the traffic for the home located at 18 Central Avenue, a residential neighborhood. Apruzzi says he hasn't gotten a bill from the township yet and doesn't know if one will come, but if it does.
When I get the bill, then my attorney gets the bill, and we work it out from there.
Tom's brother Al Apruzzi estimates the family has spent over $100,000 on the light show over the years, telling us it takes about 2 months to set up. They also used the Christmas display to raise thousands of dollars in donations for the organization Homes for Our Troops.
For somebody to try and put a kibosh on Christmas and veterans and children, you're not going to win.
We reached out to the township's mayor, Owen Henry, and the township's police department for comment multiple times, but have not heard back. As of now, Apruzzi plans on continuing the light show. It will run Thursday through Sunday in December from 6 to 10 p.m. and then will run the whole week of Christmas. In Old Bridge, Emily Drewby, Currents News.
The famed Fearless Girl statue that was facing the Wall Street Bull now has a new home. The 4-foot statue is positioned in front of the New York Stock Exchange. The girl with her hands on her hips used to stare down the charging bull in the financial district as a symbol of female empowerment and equality.
I'm pleased to say that since her installation, 301 companies that we had identified as not having a single woman on their corporate boards have added a female director, and another 28 have committed to doing so.
Before the statue appeared, only about a quarter of the top U.S. companies had women on their boards. That is Currents News. I'm Liz Faublas. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. I hope to see you again next time.